Hello, welcome to True Crime Talk. I'm Kathleen, and today I have some good news regarding the Michelle Wolfenbarger case. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. I did a video on this about a year ago, and just recently, a couple of days ago, her husband, who was her husband at the time, was arrested for her murder all those years ago. So, this is the WSB TV article about it. It says, "Thank you, Lord. Family grateful daughter's husband arrested 25 years after her murder." Atlanta police have arrested the husband of a missing woman who was found murdered over 25 years ago. Melissa Wolfenbarger disappeared in December 1998 from her family's home in Atlanta. In April and June 1999, detectives found human remains in trash bags off Avon Avenue. It wasn't until March 2003 that testing confirmed that the remains belonged to Melissa. Police charged her husband, Christopher, who had been considered a person of interest for years. Channel 2's Audrey Washington was at a news conference Wednesday where police confirmed they arrested Christopher at his home in Griffin. They said it was challenging because he hid inside his home when officers arrived. I don't know where he thought he was going to go. He was captured in his home in Griffin. He hid. It took detectives a little while to find him, Detective Jerry and Shepard with the Atlanta Police Department Homicide Unit said. Melissa's mother, Norma Patton, said she knew she would eventually see the day the suspect in her daughter's murder was arrested. "I yelled, 'Thank you, Lord.' Patton told Washington. 'We've finally made it. He's in custody,' she added. Patton said Christopher Wolfenbarger and her husband, and her daughter had a violent marriage. He had knocked her down on the sidewalk and dragged her by her hair, Patton said. Shepard said new technology and re-interviewing people led him to Christopher. From day one, we knew it was Christopher. There was never a doubt in our minds who did this, Patton said. So even though her family always believed it was him and the police knew it was him, it took them this many years to get the evidence. So thank goodness for new technology. So he has finally been arrested for her murder. And here is a news report about it from WSB TV.
More about what police believe led to the murder of a young mother 25 years ago. Atlanta police charged Christopher Wolfenbarger with the 1998 murder of his wife, Melissa. Channel 2's Audrey Washington live now on Avon Avenue in Southwest Atlanta. And Audrey, the family believes domestic violence played a part in all of this. They do. And earlier in the day, we were live at APD headquarters. Now we are live here along Avon Avenue in Southwest Atlanta because we really want to show you this remote area. This is where that mother's head and other human remains were all found in this area you see here. Now an arrest in the case and more details about the days leading up to the murder. Yeah. Thank you, Lord. Norma Patton has been fighting for her daughter for 25 years, and now she believes that fight is almost over. The man accused of murdering her daughter, Melissa Wolfenbarger, is in jail. We have finally made it. He's in custody. In 1998, Melissa disappeared from her family's Henry County home. Norma says she immediately thought Melissa's husband, Christopher Wolfenbarger, was involved. She said the two had a violent marriage. He had knocked her down on the sidewalk and dragged her by her hair. In 1999, police found a human head and other remains on Avon Avenue, Southwest Atlanta. In 2003, the Fulton County Medical Examiner determined the remains belonged to Melissa, but the case went cold for decades. That is until Detective Jerry Shepard took over. He told me new technology led him to Christopher. He was captured in his home in Griffin. He hid. It took the detectives a little while to find him. From day one, we knew it was Christopher. There was never, ever any doubt in our minds who did this. And it's important to note that the family also thanked Channel 2 Action News for staying on top of this story for decades. Atlanta police told me they will soon reveal exactly how they were able to piece this case together and make this arrest 25 years later. And we are live here tonight in Southwest Atlanta. Audrey Washington, Channel 2 Action News.
And I wanted to thank Diamond Cluster Hustler from YouTube, who alerted me on my channel that this case had been solved. It says, "Today it was announced Christopher has been arrested on this case. He's known all this time the truth." And so that's how I first learned of it. I would have eventually seen it because I do live in Georgia, but I don't watch the local news all the time. But also, Nancy Grace has done some videos regarding this. So if you would like to know more about this case, you just look it up. You can look up Nancy Grace, or I'm sure there's other channels that have done videos on this case. And I'll read the other comments. It says, "Seems bizarre how slowly they worked in this, especially with plenty of clues that the husband did it." Yeah, but apparently they didn't have the forensic evidence back then that they do today with the technology. So apparently, I assume it has to do with DNA, but I'm not sure. Haven't researched it yet to find out exactly what evidence they got now that they didn't have back then. But a lot of cases are being solved these days from years ago off of DNA evidence. So hopefully the family will finally get justice if he, of course, did this. And of course, I think he did. He'll be found guilty or plead guilty and be sent to prison. Let's see what this comment says. This is very well done. I hope to see this channel grow. Oh, thank you so much, Montana Nerd 8244. I hope those Russian content today will offer a link to this. I'll post it where I can. I believe you are the only person before today who has done a 20-plus minute piece on this case. Yeah, I remember when I first researched this case, because I live in Georgia, so I knew about this case. I was surprised I didn't find more info about it online. But I'm sure today maybe there's more info on it just because it's been solved. It says, "Thank you for caring. I have a missing family member. He was a terrible person who I never met and disappeared at 78, so I only experienced a tiny bit of what other families do, and it's still hard to deal with." Yeah, I imagine, any person who you've known in your life, whether it's a friend or a family member who goes missing, even if you're not close to that person, I bet it will always be like a family mystery or a mystery that you think about, if not every day, occasionally, even if you didn't like the person, because, somebody who's in your life and then they just go up and missing and you don't know what happened to them, but you suspect foul play, or that, they didn't go missing of their own free will. That is, something that you're going to think about because it's scary, because you always wondered what happened to them. Let's see, this comment says the skull was initially identified as a white male. Yeah, that held up this case for a while because they identified the skull as being from a male rather than from a female. So it just goes to show that sometimes the science or the scientists aren't always accurate or correct. So sometimes it takes longer due to that. But finally, it has been solved, and Christopher is still alive to have been arrested. So hopefully now her children and the rest of her family will get justice for their mother.